Well, an upstate woman received a maximum sentence of 19 months in prison today.
Yeah, she admitted to covering up her mother's death when she dumped her body into a river, and it was all to collect her Social Security money. It was in 2021, Beth Beamer pleaded guilty to theft of government property after receiving more than $68,000 in Social Security meant for her mother, Beth Beamer, who's believed to have died in August of 2017. Beamer admitted to removing her mother's body from her home in Malden and throwing it down a roadside embankment into a river in North Carolina. Beth Beamer's body has never been recovered. In 2021, Beamer was charged by the Greenville County Sheriff's Office with neglect of a vulnerable adult, unauthorized removal of a dead body, and desecration of human remains. Beamer was sentenced to 16 months in prison for the federal charge in order to repay the money she stole to the Social Security Administration. Greenville County deputies say Beamer did not act alone. Beth Beamer's two granddaughters, Tabitha Shook and Madeline Ballard, were also involved in covering up her death. Shook pled guilty to obstruction of an investigation and the removal of a dead body, and Ballard pled guilty to filing a false police report.